Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. And we're so thrilled to be offering one of the first of its kind digital, virtual, and continuous learning environments to enable parents and children to connect from all around the world. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions and to create space on all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments, both socially and politically, that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we also write thought pieces every other Sunday. We actually just dropped the thought piece this past Sunday, so be sure to meander over to our website and check out our online content. Now, if it is the case that you are looking for a listening alternative, well, we're available on 12 different podcast platforms for your listening leisure, and we've provided you with access to the links in the description down below. Now, as is the convention, be sure to subscribe, hit that post notification bell so that you are aware of every time you post. And of course, if you like these conversations and you want to keep them going, like, comment, and share this segment. Let's get into it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis. And today our topic of discussion is education. And on the topic of education, we're going to be talking about, as we kick off this new year, compromise. And I love to talk about my ideals and attitudes around compromise. And I thought best to support our growing community and provide some tenets and some areas where compromise is really just out of the question. And all of us are excited, amped, prepared to kick off this new year with a fresh new outlook, a fresh new beginning. And I'm here to provide a good foundation for how to structure that out. So as I've mentioned in any topic that I've ever addressed on this channel around compromise, I'm not talking about being uncollaborative or uncooperative. I'm really talking about the areas in our life where compromise is self-destructive and self-sabotaging. There are areas in our life that are just non-negotiable and aren't areas where we can successfully compromise without it being a hindrance to ourselves. So that's what I'm talking about when I say do not compromise. And so in this conversation on the topic of compromise through the lens of recovery, I want to talk about the areas where compromise just is not negotiable. And so the first area is relationships. And I think that a lot of us make a lot of concessions to keep the people we care about in our lives. And I think that there needs to be certain parameters around that. There needs to be certain rules of engagement that we build with ourselves, that we hold ourselves accountable to, so that if it is the case that we've outgrown a relationship, or a relationship is becoming toxic, or a relationship just isn't good for us for any given reason, we can make that call. And most of us are often waiting on the precipice of a catalytic event before we decide, hey, we need to rupture this friendship, this friendship can't continue. When there are a lot of signals and flags that took place prior to that would have been a great opportunity to quietly, peacefully, amicably just remove yourself from that situation, from that setting. And that would be if we just align with our values and our ideals. And so this is what I want to talk about by way of compromise. And so for me, when it comes to relationships, I have a couple of areas where where I refused to compromise in 2023, where I've already gotten the ball rolling. I've already started on this journey a couple of years ago, and I decided that I'm just gonna be all the more regimented about it. And that's about really when relationships erode. You know the law of 6 degrees of separation. You recognize there is a toxic relationship in your life, you let that person go, but there's someone caught in the middle. There's someone who really hasn't done anything, but who is attached to both parties, right? And so for me, this can be a tricky situation when we don't have an attitude around, well, what, if at all, is a compromise in maintaining a relationship with someone who's comfortable maintaining a relationship with someone else who has hurt me and who has harmed me. And I decided that there's no compromise there. And there are several reasons to this. Like for one, I guess the biggest reason why I've decided in 2023 I'm really not going to be flexible on this point is guilty by association. And I am someone who really firmly believes in this rule. Like I think that you never know how people are going to sway in a situation that creates disruption, and you also never know what people's hidden agendas and motives are. And I don't want to find out because I've exposed myself or made myself vulnerable to like really being on the losing side of someone really showing me their true colors. So I've really held fast to this guilty by association rule. And there have been times where I've been like wondering like, hey, like maybe this person understands the situation, they want to maintain neutrality, but I think it's hard to do that. I think as people, as human beings, when it comes to relationships and connections specifically, we have a side, we've chosen a side. It's hard to be neutral. And a great indication that someone isn't neutral is they keep bringing that person up. They keep wanting to have a conversation around that person. And for me, that tells me that that's happening on the other side as well. And if I know that these relationships are toxic and I don't want to have any access provided or allocated or allowed in any way, shape, or form, then that means that those people who have done nothing but who are simply guilty by association need to go. And it doesn't mean that I don't care for them, but I just don't care for the exposure and giving people that I've been very clear I do not want access to me. I've been very open or forthcoming to some extent to the level of harm or abuse that has taken place. And if that's not enough for you to decide that, you know, I need to pick one of these relationships just based on who I'm most connected to, or maybe you decided that, but that person isn't me, that's okay with me. I'm okay to not compromise my ideals and to put myself in a situation where I'm vulnerable, maintaining a relationship with someone who is maintaining a relationship with someone who has harmed me. So I think that that's an area where you want to make a concession, you want to compromise. I'm saying don't do it. Don't compromise, because anyone who can be neutral in the face of you being harmed or being abused, I think they told you what it is they feel or how it is that they value you in that relationship with you moving forward. There are certain things that you've gone through or people have subjected you to where anyone who wants to stay connected to you just can't be neutral about it. They have to take a position. If that position isn't you, then it's really time to just part ways. And again, it doesn't need to be explosive. In fact, for me, I prefer that things are not explosive. It can be quiet. And I think that it doesn't even need to be spoken. I think people understand, even if people pretend to be incredulous or to be completely caught off guard, I think people understand when you disconnect from them. I think they know what behaviors or what boundaries they were pushing or what limits they were testing that made it so that you've decided that the best option is no contact. So that's an area where compromise just simply does not suffice. Another area where compromise just is not allowed in 2023 are the goals that we've set for ourselves. And honestly, this is the first day of the new year that I'm recording this, and I told myself I need to get back to my early morning starts because I just feel so much better the earlier that I wake up and start my day. And so I've gotten off to a sort of good start. I think that I've done pretty good already, but already I found myself trying to make concessions, and it's like, well, no. And I know I am someone who thrives under a regimented routine. I just thrive when I have aspects of my day partitioned for exercise, for fitness, for meditation, as well as for, you know, just moments of self-care. But you know, honestly, it's like as your days get busier and as you are less reliant on discipline to become focused, like a focus is something that you kind of naturally derive from the specific environments and work that you're doing, then you deprioritize exercise a little bit. And for me, like I love working out in the mornings, but I need to wake up early to be able to have like the kind of workout that I know really does the body good. So I've made the compromise that like no more kitty parties, like no more excuses. Like I need to wake up early in the morning and I need to commit, you know, at least 45 minutes to working out every day. Well, not every day, but like most days. This is like a 60-40, 70-30 split. So I think that it's really important that I hold myself accountable to the commitments I've made to myself and I don't make concessions. And the concessions feel really, really valid valid and justifiable when you're laying in a warm, toasty bed, but I know how great I feel when I make myself get out of bed, do that workout, and start my day off right. So I think the area where we have become very lackadaisical, or we are lackadaisical, when we make concessions to ourselves with the commitments that we've made for ourselves. So I think we need to hold ourselves accountable to ourselves as much as we would hold ourselves accountable to the people we care about. And that's an area where compromise just does not suffice. And lastly, your dreams, your goals, the areas where you know, like there's true alignment when you put your energy in those areas. And this could be career, this could be life, they can be family. Like these are areas where a lot of us, there's a lot of compromise that has like found its way through the cracks. Because of that, there's a lot of like resentment and bitterness that we're all dealing with, and not just our own, but the projected bitterness and resentment of those who've lived their lives as lives of compromise. I think we'd all just be happier if we all compromise less in like the very significant areas of our life, a big bucket in our life. And I think that better to build a plan, right? Like even if it can't happen the way that you've imagined it, you will be less bitter and less resentful about your life and like the path that your life is on if you at least carve a path towards the life that you know you want and the dreams that you know you want, or an alternative version of events that you know aligns better to what it is that you are looking for in life and where it is you are right now. And this is for everybody, right? Because like even if for me, like I live my life making a point to be as aligned as I possibly can, leveraging time as a variable. So like it might not be something that I can do right now, but it's always going to be something that like my energy is going to be aligned to. I'm still dealing with the people who haven't done that, and like there's resentment and bitterness and a lot of like unnecessary hostility sometimes pushed or projected on people who are a little bit more aligned. And I think if all of us focus on our own alignment, if all of us stop justifying the compromises that we've made that we shouldn't have made because those were like non-negotiable areas of our life, if all of us were clear and honest with ourselves on the areas of our life that are non-negotiable, that are just not subject to compromise, then we would all be happier people, right? So I think that it's important to sit down and to think to yourself, well, what is a non-negotiable area in my life? Like know that, so that if someone were to ask you that, like you can list them off at least top 3 instantly. You need to know the areas of your life that like you know that if you negotiate, like bitterness and resentment and like, you know, loathing is gonna start to creep in there, right? And it sounds funny because you're like, well, no, like I don't know many bitterful or many resentful people or many people who are loathsome or envious, but a lot of this comes from people who have lived lives of compromise, and then rather than do something about their lives that are not aligned, they are resentful to the people whose lives are. And so again, like I think that this is just one of those situations that builds into a dynamic that is really not comfortable for anybody. And I think that it's just better if all of us take the accountability on our own shoulders to make sure that we're clear to ourselves and to those around us what areas of our lives are just like not subject to compromise, where it's just not negotiable, and we need to figure out like how best we navigate the world we're in to be able to speak to the areas of our life that we've allowed compromise to sneak in, that now we're going to pivot and we're like, well, actually, even if I've allowed for compromise, even if I've made concessions, like moving forward, I can't, because it's really compromised my quality of life. It's compromised sense of inner confidence, my sense of fulfillment and happiness and meaning, and I just can't keep chipping away at those things because it's making this journey really arduous and I feel really miserable. And I'm telling you, like whatever it is you put your energy towards, it's going to be challenging, right? But there's a different flavor and layer to a challenge that is a challenge in alignment with what it is you know you want to do and what it is you want to experience and feel and draw and derive out of life. So please do it for everyone. If you're not going to do it for yourself, like do it for those around you. Like alignment is key, and however that translates for you, it is a worthy objective to attain. So that was this video, and I hope that it was helpful to you. I hope that it was insightful to you. I wish you all the best in your new year endeavors, and I pray and I hope, and I really am putting the energy out there that you can be clear and confident about the areas of your life where compromise is not going to leak in. And all the best to you. And if you have an area this year that you're, decidedly putting your foot down and you're not going to compromise, I ask you to please put the comment down below. I look forward to engaging with you in the comments or via email. Now, before letting you go, I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that we will be going live at least twice a month, every month for the foreseeable future on our Facebook page. So definitely be sure to tune in. Now, these events are paid events. So if you do see yourself participating in our community on an ongoing basis, then I do suggest that you take a look at one of our package plans. Yes, so we do offer package plans over and above our live events, as well as access to webinars and workshops largely focused on self-mastery over and above these live events. So we invite you to tune in. We invite you to join our hashtag Game Changer community and be the change that you want to see, allowing us to play a small role in your journey. So we are on the road to 1K. We invite you to follow us, not just here on our YouTube channel, but across all of our social media platforms. And we look forward to chatting with all of you very soon. We'll talk to you later.